Full frame versus crop censored cameras. Which should you choose? Ever hover over the add to cart, fingers frozen because you still don't know which box to check? And by the end of the video, I really hope that you can understand which ones you should go for. Now, I've shot weddings with an A7 III, I've stalked birds with a Fujifilm X-T5, so I'm not here to sell you a particular brand, just to tell you what exactly changes when the sensor does. And by the end of the video, you'll know which kit saves your wallet and which kit saves your spine, and which ultimately delivers the photos that you actually care about. Think of your lens like a bucket and your sensor a canvas that has a grid. The bigger the bucket, the more light can get caught up in one go if you splash it against it. Full frame is the classic 36 by 24mm, same size as your grandfather's 35mm camera. And for this demonstration, it's going to be in place of an A3 with a grid in front of it. The grid here is the explanation of pixels. APS-C crop cameras is a 23.6 by 15.6mm, defined here as an A4 canvas with a smaller grid. Both buckets full of paint. Yes, throw the paint on there, and what you get there is the image. The things that's going to capture the most amount of light are, of course, the larger pixels. However, there is caveats to both. Both produce truly great images, but there is definitely more paint on the full frame A3 sheet of paper, and the pixels are gathering more of that paint, more of that light. So how both cameras capture light is the same, but the pixel size and the grid is what defines its quality. Bigger pixels are better, smaller ones are worse. This is only a problem in lower light situation, and is indeed where grain has started to be introduced into the image. See a video on the exposure triangle that we filmed before to explain that out in a little bit more detail. Crop factor and the free telephoto effect. Stick a 50mm on a full frame and, well, what do you get? You get a 50mm. Pop it on an APS-C camera, it has a 1.5 times crop, and boom, what you got there is a 75mm. It's like handing a wildlife shooter an extra 1.5 times extender they both don't have to carry. And street shooters, on the other hand, curse it because a 35mm just morphed into a 52.5mm. The corner deli is now out of frame, and you just basically have to pick your poison here. Both have their advantages, and when you're coming to buying lenses, bear this in mind to get the correct effect and the correct focal length that you want to out of your images. So next, let's talk about depth of field and the creamy stuff, which is bokeh. Beautiful word, bokeh, isn't it? Physics pop quiz here. At the same framing and aperture, full frame gives you a shallower depth of field at f2.8 and basically just melts the background. On crop, you'll need an f1.8 to actually get the equivalent blur. Portrait folks love the melt of the bokeh in the background. Landscape folks prefer having the more detailed, the greater depth of field at the same f-stop. So it's great for both poppy foregrounds and backgrounds APS-C, but not so great if you're looking to do some portrait where you really want to single out your subject. So now let's jump into the next bit when it comes to what's the difference between APS-C and full frame, and that's of course night owl portraits. Bigger pixels gulp up more light before they throw a noise tantrum. ISO 6400 on an R5 looks like 1600 on my old 7D Mark II. If you shoot a candlelit first dances, that's the line that you really care about. If your idea of excitement is a sunrise tripod shoot at base ISO, cool, keep the extra cash. And maybe look at getting yourself an APS-C camera. Equally, both perform really well in most situations, but for low light, full frame sensors do come out on top. Now, this is something I feel like a lot of people are caring about more and more, and that is, of course, size, weight, and, well, the don't notice me factor, the stealth factor, the ninja factor. Full frame glass scales up fast. The Canon 24-70 f2.8L is around about 900 grams, a brick. Full Fujifilm 16-55mm f2.8 is around 580 grams. And with that crop, they end up becoming noticeably similar in terms of what images they actually get out of the camera. And that Fujifilm is just 580 grams, noticeably shorter, making your bag a lot lighter. That extra 320 grams feels like someone just added a water bottle to your bags. Street ninjas love the crop, small, silent silhouette, and I'm just a tourist factor, making sure that you stay blended into the crowd. Now, there is even an argument for using APS-C cameras in professional events where you don't want to be pointed out as, I'm the photographer, you want to be taking more stealthy looking shots, in which an APS-C camera can be to the benefit in this particular situation. The lenses and the wallet reality, how much it's actually going to cost you at the end of it. A nifty 50 for a full frame is about 125, £80 on the used end. Entry level 35mm f1.4 for an APS-C is around 400. Yet it's sometimes the smaller lenses cost just a little bit more. However, in a lot of cases for the professional range or the higher range of lenses, it is the opposite. APS-C is actually cheaper. Run the numbers for the entire system, not just the body. Plus, most full frame bodies can actually mount crop censored lenses to it and put the camera into a crop mode so you don't have that vignetting on the side. And this allows you to think about upgrading later if you don't necessarily want to jump straight into an APS-C, or vice versa. This can work with buying full frame lenses for when you want to upgrade to a full frame camera. Now let's get on to the next section, and that is ultimately image quality. Forums will scream at you 14 stops of dynamic range on a full frame like it's a Pokemon set. In real prints under normal light, the difference between 14 and 12 stops is basically invisible. Ultimately, you can get away with an APS-C camera in this situation, unless you are the kind of person who pushes the shadows 5 stops just for fun. But just know that there is a difference, and to upgrade in the future might actually give you some additional benefits. Who should ultimately pick up a crop censored camera? Well, they are predominantly for beginners, backpackers, wildlife shooters, and parents looking for a nice light solution to take photos at soccer day. If your mission is to learn exposure, color, composition without selling your plasma screen TV or your blood plasma, start here. My first gig was shot on a £600 camera, and it was a Canon 600D. Still remains one of my favorite cameras. Don't knock a beginner camera because it can be very good. And I got some really amazing reactions from the work that I created at the time. In fact, I started a busker series making music videos live in the streets of Cardiff. You can do a lot with something that's not as high spec as what you would see these days. So in that retrospect, even look for used and new gear. And this is where we go into the full frame side of things. Who should buy a full frame camera? And these are really for working pros, night crawlers, portrait junkies, chasing the eyelash of a sharp f1.2 lens. Believe me, I know, I absolutely love my 35mm. Let's head back to that checkout screen. Sensor size isn't a personality test, it's just a tool. Ask yourself 3 quick things. What do you shoot the most? How big do I actually need to print, or where am I posting it to? And how much weight am I willing to really carry up that volcano, that mountain, that hill, that next adventure? Answer those, and you found the right body that will feel obvious to you. There is a bunch of light solutions for both APS-C and full frame, and a bunch of heavy solutions for both as well. We do used here at Camera Centre UK, and at the moment, getting into photography is a seller's market because you've got so many fantastic full frame cameras that you can just start out with if you want to give it a go like that. So make sure you go over to Camera Centre UK. The best upgrade isn't the next camera. It's the next 10,000 photos that you're actually going to be taking with that camera and how that ultimately makes you feel. Now, go make something awesome. Please like, follow, subscribe if you want to see more. I've been looking at the analytics recently, and it looks like 96% of you are not actually subscribed. It helps this channel out a lot, and I've got a lot of really big plans for the future as to what we can really bring this space. So please like, follow, subscribe, put a comment in down below. It means a hell of a lot to me and us here at Camera Centre UK. See you next time.